How's it going? My name is Jack, and in this video, I'm going to be covering 3 different automations using Make.com that you can use to improve your CRM. So in this, I'm using a Monday CRM board. Now, this can be, all of these processes, or these automations rather, can be swapped for really any CRM, whether you're using ClickUp, Asana, Go High Level, or a number of others. So the first Make.com flow is to update a CRM record to meeting booked when someone books a calendar, when someone books a meeting on your calendar. So in this case, using cal.com, and basically it just sends a webhook so that whenever someone books in the calendar, it'll send a webhook to your make flow, it'll process that lead's email, and then it'll update the stage in the CRM to meeting booked. So for example, meeting booked. And that'll happen automatically in the CRM. The second make.com automation is to send a follow-up email when the stage becomes awaiting proposal. So once they go from meeting booked to awaiting proposal, we just want to send them a follow-up email that says something along the lines of, hey, I'm enjoyed chatting. I'll work on getting your proposal ready in the next few hours. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll actually run through all these flows and I'll show you what that email looks like. And the third make automation for this CRM system is to generate a proposal when a field changes to, well, generate proposal. And so I'll walk through all 3 of these automations. I'll explain each module within each automation. All right, so this is what the first flow looks like. We have a webhook. I'm setting up a webhook within Make. I'm copying that webhook, and I'm going to the actual calendar itself. So I'd go into Cal, and click on the meeting or the calendar that you want to set up a webhook for. You'd go ahead and just create a new webhook and paste that webhook here. So this webhook here is what I set up in Make in this module here. The second module is to search items in the board by column values, and we're taking the payload of the email column. So this column here with the email addresses, it's searching these emails. So whenever someone books in the calendar with an email that's in the CRM, it'll find and match that email, and then it'll update this field, and it updates that field by this module here. So update column values of a specific item, and I'm just taking this ID here, which is basically the board ID, which is found here. So like 94555, which is the same ID we can see here. And then I'm just specifying what stage to change it to when that webhook fires, so meeting booked. So I'll actually show you what this automation looks like. I'll do it on my own email right here. So let's say I fill out the form. Let's say I'm booking into the calendar, put my name, my email. So when I click confirm, I'll try to toggle back so we can see the webhook fire. And we'll be able to see that it goes from intake to meeting booked because it's going to search for the same email that I book with. And so let's just go ahead and do that. So right now I have the flow as off. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run once. In practice, all these flows would be turned on. So it would happen, you wouldn't have to hit run. It would just happen immediately as soon as the webhooks fire. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hit run once. And then I'm going to go ahead and submit. And we'll be able to see that webhook fired and then it ran through the flow. And then we should see here that it changed to meeting booked. Okay, great. So I'm going to change this back to intake and we'll cover the next flow. All right, so the second make flow, to send a follow-up email when their stage in the CRM becomes awaiting proposal. So let's say someone they booked a meeting and they got on a call and you decided that you're going to go ahead and send them a proposal. And so when this field is set to awaiting proposal, this flow in make.com will automatically go ahead and send an email to that person. And so I'm going to pull up my own email and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. And so very quickly before I run through this flow, I'll go ahead and just walk through each module. It's a very simple flow. So there's a webhook, very similar to the first flow. You set up a custom webhook in Make, and then you go ahead and then you go back to the automation. Now on Monday, there's an automate button at the top right. You click on this and then you just create automation. And what I have here is when stage changes to awaiting proposal, send a webhook. And so that's what I set up in this flow here, or rather this flow here. Next, I'm using the Monday.com get an item module. And this module is getting the ID of the record that we want to work with in the CRM. So the pulse ID in this case is referring to, like if you open up one of the fields, notice how there's this ID that you get, and it'll change if I click on someone else. And so that pulse ID is how we grab the necessary or respective record in the CRM. So after we get the pulse ID, next, sending an email. So in this module, I'm mapping the email address of what we're getting from the CRM. The subject, I'm just using thanks for the call, and then because this is an email that would normally send after, in between the call and the proposal. And so I'm sending this email that says, hey, enjoyed chatting earlier, just letting you know that I'll send over your proposal in a few hours. Let me know if you have any questions, thanks. I'm using this function here, get split, and then I'm using the name field, and I'm creating a space, and then I'm taking the first value when there's a space in that field. So you'll notice I'm taking the name, and then in the CRM, it's the first and last name. And that's obviously separated by a space, right? So when there's a space, that formula is just taking the first word before that space field. So it'll just grab Jack. And you'll see exactly what that looks like in just a second. And then finally, I have update column values of a specific item. So I'm getting that same pulse ID for the item ID, and then I'm changing the label to generate proposal. And the reason that I'm changing the label at the very end of this flow is so that as soon as that email is sent, the field will go from awaiting email to, it'll go from awaiting proposal, rather, send email, to generate proposal. All right, so let's actually take a look at this flow in action. I'm going to go ahead and hit run once. And I'm going to go back to the CRM, and I'm going to run this on my own email so I can show you. All right, so I have my email pulled up here, and you'll see that if I change the stage from intake or meeting booked, whatever, to awaiting proposal, send email, that make automation will run, and we should see an email pop up here. So here we go. Hey Jack, thanks for the call. Or rather, hey Jack, enjoyed chatting earlier. Just letting you know that I'll send over your proposal in the next few hours. Let me know if you have any other questions. So it set that email that we drafted here. And so the whole point of this automation is to reduce the time for manually sending follow-up emails. So if you're sending a proposal after a call for a given offer, it can be good to let people know that what to expect in the proposal, or to just let them know that you're going to be sending them something. All right, and here we have the third and final make.com automation for this CRM, and that's a proposal generator. So I'm creating a webhook, and then I'm going to the CRM, back to that automate field, the automate button, and then I'm creating this configuration for the webhook where I'm pasting that webhook. So when stage changes to generate proposal, we'll send a webhook, and then that make automation will run. So after the webhook, I have this get an item monday.com module. So this module is taking that same pulse ID for that monday.com board, and then I'm creating a presentation from a template. And so this is different than just create a presentation. So I have this template in my Google Drive for a proposal generator template. Let me pull that up. So here I have this proposal generator template. And so I have these fields with curly brackets. So for the lead name and the company name and the offer name. And so that will be basically these fields here. So the lead name, that'll take the person's name. For the company name, obviously the company name. And then for the offer, it'll take this. So in this module, I have proposal for name as the title of the actual document that it'll generate in the Google Drive. Or as the title of the Google Slides presentation. For the lead name, I'm just taking, like I said, the name, company name, I'm getting the value for the company name, and for the offer, it will be this offer. So marketing strategy will be the example that I'll use here. The next module, get a share link. So the module for get a share link is how we actually get a link to populate in this field here. So it's going to automatically add the link to the proposal within the CRM itself right here. And finally, I have another one of these monday.com update column values of a specific item. So for item ID, I'm using that same pulse ID from Monday, and then under the column ID for proposal. So like I said, right here is where we're going to insert that link. And I'm getting that share link from the previous module right here. And then at the very end, I'm also updating the stage to be send proposal at the end of this flow. So it'll go from generate proposal, and then once the proposals generate, it'll automatically update to send proposal so that any sales member or member of the sales team that's in here can see, okay, this person needs to receive their proposal, so they can open it up, they can make any necessary changes, and then send it off to the lead. All right, so let's take a look at what this flow looks like. So I'm gonna hit run once. I'm gonna go back to the CRM, and I'm gonna run it, and I'll run it on myself here. So generate proposal, we'll see this starts to run, and then we'll also see that this should set back to send proposal. And now let's take a look at the proposal itself. Like I said, it'll auto-populate the link to the proposal that you can go ahead and edit. So it'll be proposal for Jack Acme Co., the company, an overview of your marketing strategy. So the specific offer that I specified in this CRM. So all this can be changed and customized to meet your business needs. In my case, in this example, rather, there's different types of offers you might be sending. You know, if your business, if you only focus on selling one offer, then, you know, that wouldn't, you could just hard code it into the presentation template. But nonetheless, I just wanted to show a more dynamic example. So I just walked through these 3 automations for this CRM using make.com. It's important to note, though, that there could be numerous types of automations that you could set up for this same type of CRM. You know, maybe as soon as someone enters the intake stage of the CRM, you'd want to send them like an introductory email. Hey, thanks for, you know, signing up for, you know, maybe a list, or maybe, hey, you know, we got your information, and if you were to send them like your calendar link, you could configure an email that sends them an automated email as soon as they enter the CRM. So these are just 3 automations that can give you an idea of how to automate certain aspects of your CRM. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and show you what this could all look like comprehensively. So if I were to turn all these flows on and activate them, you'll see that some of the flows actually run in tandem with each other. And so if I go back to that calendar, let's say I book 4:30, I'll fill out my own name. And now that we have all these flows turned on, I just want to run through a submission just so that you can see how they all work, how a few of these flows can work together. And to give you an idea of how you can maybe, you know, add more types of automations depending on the CRM that you're working with to improve lead flow and just overall operational efficiency. And just for simplicity, I'm going to go ahead and change all these back to intake, and then I'm going to run this on myself, and I'm going to hit confirm, and then we'll see that these automations just run automatically. So we'll see meeting booked. So that's that first automation that just ran, and it changed the CRM field to meeting booked. And then the second automation, so if we manually change the CRM field to awaiting proposal, this flow will run, and I'll show that now. So awaiting proposal, and then it will send an email, generate proposal. And now that it's in generate proposal, it'll automatically trigger this third and final flow. And so this will actually trigger back to send proposal. There we go. And now we have the proposal. And so I show that to say that when you have all these flows on in tandem with each other, it can save a ton of time when managing your CRM. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.